Hello there and welcome to another review of The Shield Dude in the Couch. I'm your host Hector, and today we're going to talk about the new album by Stabbing Westward. So for those of you that don't know, Stabbing Westward is a band hailing from Chicago. They play industrial rock, and this new album is called Chasing Ghosts. It has 10 songs and it's about like a 45-minute in length album, so it goes by pretty quickly. The band had put out an EP in 2020 called Dead and Gone, and there's 3 songs on that EP that are featured on this album. Basically, what the band, the plan that they had back in 2020 is that they were going to ease into this comeback by releasing that EP and releasing a few songs from that EP. And then they would ease onto the album that they were going to originally release back in 2020. Obviously, with all the things that happen in the world, they had to push back on it. So now we finally received that full length. And for those of you that don't know, Stabbing Westward in the 90s had a few albums and had a few hits. I love their album Dark Days, and they had a song on the movie Another Teen Movie. And back in 2001, they like called it quits, took a hiatus, but they came back, reunited sometime in the late 2018s, 2019, and they announced that they were releasing new music soon, and they were recording. So when they put out Dead and Gone, that EP has the Dead and Gone, Crawl, and Cold, which, like I said, are in this new album. And the sound of this new album goes very well with what they had released. You know, there's a lot of like industrial rock, there's electronic elements to it. Christopher Hall, which is the lead singer, sounds as great as he did back in the 90s, and he also sounds great now. So it seems like he hasn't lost any of his voice. The lyrics on the album are very much reminiscent of what they're known for. They're angsty. They're, driven by sense of loss and those sort of things. So the album, I must say, it's a very good album, and it wouldn't sound out of place with their last albums. To me, what I like about this album is basically that every song on it is good. They have a lot of replay value, and a lot of those songs can be singles. They're very catchy, and they are very well produced. Like, you can hear every instrument on it very clearly, and like I said, Christopher Hall's voice sounds as great as it did back in the day. So I'm gonna talk about a few songs on the album. So Dead and Gone is a song that was already released in 2020, but it's a very like straight by the numbers rock industrial songs. It doesn't change chord progressions that much, but it's very catchy. Crawl, for example, is a number that is more shorter song, like almost 3 minutes, and it goes slower, and there's more electronics and more like a type of ballad type of song. Cold is very upbeat and has very danceable type of electronic and guitars, which are very catchy. And that's something that a lot of the songs here have. They're very catchy. So, for example, there's also songs that I think that would sound great in their past catalogs, like for example, Wasteland and Control C. They're very guitar driven. There's a lot of like industrial sound in those songs, and those are songs that would do great in a live setting. They're very upbeat, they're very energetic, and they're very angsty, like the type of music that they used to play. But there's 2 songs on this album that really stand out because they're very long. They're almost 8 minutes in length, and that's the song Push and The End. The End actually ends the album, and it ends the album on a very like somber note. It's a very atmospheric track that really the guitars don't kick in until like 3 or 4 minutes in the song. It's very ambient. He's singing in a lower voice, and he's talking about how he has let everyone down and this is the end, and then it picks up, and it's it really ends the album on a high note. Push is more interesting because it's a long song, but it has different variations. There's electronics elements, there's more industrial guitar, there's more straight rock sounds on it, and it's another standout track on an album that has a lot of great tracks. I didn't, if I have to say negatives, a negative thing that you could say is that half of this album I had already heard because they had released an EP in 2020, and there were already other two songs that they had released prior to release date, like Ghost, I Am the Ghost. And so I've already heard to half of the album, but that doesn't retract from it being a great album, and I think a very good comeback album. I think this is a band that can translate well with today's youth, and maybe it can be more appreciated, because to me, Stabbing Westward is a very underrated band, even though they had a little bit of commercial success in the 90s. They never took off like contemporaries, like for example Nine Inch Nails, which was huge. But also what Nine Inch Nails does in their music is darker than Stabbing Westward. Even though the Stabbing Westward has some dark to it, I think they're more commercial sounding than a band like Nine Inch Nails. But nonetheless, Chasing Ghosts is a very good comeback album that I think if you miss that 90s sound of industrial rock with atmospherics, you will enjoy it. And even if you haven't heard this band, I think this is a good album to start to listen to them, because it's a very good representation of what the band sounds like. So what do you thought about this album? Did you think it was a nice return to form for the band, or did you think that it wasn't as much as a return to form? So if you like my videos, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, there's more content on the way, and comment, what did you think about Stabbing Westward, Chasing Ghosts? And of course, until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude in the Couch, and I'll see you next time right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.